Man, I'm excited. It's almost bow season, practicing, doing a lot of shooting, but I think, John, some people forget that the bow itself is important, not just us practicing.
That's very true. And what's very important is the aspect of taking care of your strings with the maintenance to keep your performance up.
Yeah, John, because if you think about it, the string moves more than anything on the bow. You know, the cam is turning around that axle a little bit, but that string is moving feet, right? There's a lot going on. So I have John here with Scorpion Venom. John and I have been friends for a long time. I've been using Scorpion Venom for a number of years now. And I wanted John to come out here to the proving grounds and go through not just Scorpion Venom, there's several products, and use them in a particular way to get the maximum performance out of your bow. I don't know how this happened, but Daniel put his bow out here instead of mine. I think he wanted a professional working on it, but I know Daniel and I both, we hunt in the Ozark Mountains, we go on tour hunts everywhere, and then our bow gets drugged through all kind of stuff. I mean, you know, so we're starting to practice coming into the new season. This bow's been through a season, but that doesn't mean the string's bad, right?
Correct. You just have to make sure you have proper maintenance and cleaning, and then also your lubrication and coating on that string.
Yeah. Like the truck we go to hunt with, we're gonna change the oil and do stuff to get ready for hunting season,
Yes.
right? We tell our wife it's preventative maintenance, but we're gonna get ready for hunting season. Well, the same is true for our bowstring. We want that thing to be in peak performance.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna let you walk us through all aspects of that. From cleaning, I think a lot of people just grab some old wax and jam on there every year, and that thing gets about as thick as a cigar after a while, and it's actually not even as pliable as it was because that wax isn't doing its job. So I want you to tell us what is your real profession, why this is so meaningful, because when I learned this, I knew exactly why I was going to use Scorpion Venom. So how did you know how to do all this? What's your background?
My background is I'm a biologist. I have a biology degree from Stony Brook University. And I also have some chemistry mixed with that. And I became a cosmetic chemist 34 years ago. And I also had a love with bow hunting. And what I noticed when I first started, there weren't a lot of good products out there to maintain and service your bow and your bow string. A lot of the waxes were more like hard candle wax. They weren't soft and supple, and they really didn't do the benefit to the bowstring for the lubrication. You're basically putting a hard coating on that string, and it's not penetrating to the bundled core where you really get the friction on string when you're pulling back to, you know, shoot your bow or your crossbow. So with my chemistry background, I developed a line of products that should help you increase performance and longevity of your bowstring and overall components of that working bow.
So I used to buy the tubes of wax, you know, bear wax way back in the day or something like that. And it's, you know, like a giant Cuban cigar or something. And you'd push out the end of the tube a little bit and just cram it on there. And your string would be yellow for a month after that with just cake of wax still on there. So This is a much better system. And I'm gonna let John explain, you know, just step by step. And remember, John, for dummies like me, right?
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. And I was just, you know, I'd put wax on and then put another layer on. We're gonna start you off with the cleaner.
Yes.
Daniel's bow, you know, it's been through it for a hunting season. So we're gonna clean that string up and then go through the process. So I'm gonna step out here so this camera can follow and move more and let John walk us through the process of being tuned up for hunting season.
The first thing that we'd like to do when we start our maintenance program on our bow is to clean our bowstring. And we do have a product. It's called the Anti-Venom Bowstring Fluid and Cleaner. And what we can do with this is it has a nice applicator top with a spring depression that you just push in and squeeze a little bit, which coats the top foam coating, which then can be applied to your string for cleaning. And what you want to do is run it up and down a few times, let it soak in, and let that stay on for about a minute. Once that happens, what that does is it softens and loosens any grime, wax, or any dirt particles that are on top of the surface of the string, which will allow you to easily remove that. Where we should apply the anti-venom string cleaner is on all the exposed parts that are not confined to the cams or the idler wheel. And that's without taking the string off. So you can easily do that in the field or at home before you go out for a shoot or for a hunt. And that will help alleviate some of that grime and build up issues that you do have when you do apply wax over and over again. With application rates, it's all dependent on the poundage of your bow and also how many times you shoot it. But I would recommend, if you're shooting on a weekly basis, to at least once a week take your string cleaner and just remove all that extra material off of your strings. And that also helps lighten that string so you're not getting a lot of grime and heavy extra wax buildup on that. Once you apply the anti-venom fluid to the string, you wait about a minute, and then what you do is take a suitable cloth and you will run it up and down where you applied the string cleaner. And what that does is take some of the dirt and grime off. And some people might have the issue with, well, you're going to fade my strings. Anything brand new, of course, has vibrancy to it, but as soon as you start cleaning it, like your blue jeans, they're going to fade. But one of the things that we have a product which will help alleviate that and make the life come back and pop that color into your string. So after we finish cleaning our string, we then have a polymeric bowstring fluid. And what's unique about this polymeric bowstring fluid is it has a polymer-based material, resin in there, that is in a carrier which has a small volatile component which flashes off and leaves behind a flexible resin. And the key to having a liquid on application of your bowstrings is that it being a liquid, it can go and saturate to the string's bundled core and lubricate all those individual strands. So when you are shooting, you're not having string on string, you're having string on the actual polymer, which helps lubricate it and release that friction. It has a small applicator top that you just depress, press a little bit, the spring will go in and let the fluid saturate the pad. And then what we want to do is we want to touch all the exposed parts of the string and let that soak in. And we just go up and down a few times, and being a liquid, it will migrate to those areas. So you're not going to have to worry about putting too much on. You don't need a lot. So what we want to do with the polymeric bowstring fluid after the application is let it soak in. We're not going to remove it. It's going to set on those strands. Let that sit for about a minute to let it dry, or just you could touch the string to see if it has a little bit of wetness. If it does, let it dry a little bit more. You'll get a small amount of tack, very small, so don't worry about that. Just look for that wet feel. Another benefit of using the polymeric bowstring fluid is it acts like a clear coat on your strands. Just like your car has that clear coat of cover on the paint, which enhances and makes the color more vibrant. That is also true with this particular formulation, the polymeric bowstring fluid. And then once we apply the polymeric bowstring fluid, we also have the stick wax. And it comes in a nice convenient twist up top. And what we can do then is go over those areas where we put the polymeric bowstring fluid, run a small amount down the side of the string, take your finger or a suitable cloth, and just work it on top and work it into the string fibers, running it down in an up and down fashion, and that will help coat and seal further your bowstring. And we also have that in a tin wax container, which is metal, which comes with a leather applicator, which you then can just put it on and then just bend it and also do it this way. So you have two options, one for the field, if you want that little chapstick tube when you're on the hunt, or if you're home or doing a lot of shooting, you have the larger container. Once you start to see a little bit of a discoloration on your string or the fuzzies, what we're doing here is the maintenance program. The waxes do help remove those fuzzies, and that's a natural occurrence on your bowstring. It's going to happen no matter what. It's not the products that are being applied to the strings that are doing it. It's just the way of the nature of the string with that high amount of energy the bow being pulled back and released constantly. And then finally what we need to do is we need to lubricate the bearings, the cams, the string, any part of the string that contacts the bow. We are going to use the cam and serving lube. And this being a liquid, we apply it 4 locations: to the beginning of the cam, to the center of the cam, to the back, and then to the very base of the cam. So what you want to do is you want to pull your bow back several times to let that material easily be uptaked into the string and into the channel. And then that will self-lubricate it. Any material that's in that channel will be reabsorbed into the strands. You don't need to wax these areas up, so you will never get buildup. This material is very lightweight, but very lubricious. And also, you can put this into the bearings, and we can put it also on the cable rollers. One other thing with the cam and serving lube is the more that you shoot your bow, the more that you would apply that material to the cams, the idler wheel, and also your bearings. And then, of course, pull your bow back, make sure everything soaks in, and then you're good to go. All the products are scent-free and waterproofing. And they're non-hazardous, they're cosmetic grade materials that are used in the chemistry for this, and they're benign in many ways.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, PH Outdoors, Moultrie Mobile, Steel, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
Okay, we also have products for the Crossbow. We have a Crossbow rail lube, and what this does is helps reduce or eliminate any buildup of excess material when you're applying it to the rail of the Crossbow for reduction of friction, and also so your center serving will not bind up on itself. You don't need to put wax down or any other heavy materials that will build up on the center serving and cause that to bind up on itself. This being a pure lubricant, it needs only a small amount of product on the rail, and that will be soaked up into the center serving, which then after you go to cock your crossbow and discharge it, it should feed itself, meaning it will self-reapply that material from the serving itself that was already absorbed from the initial application of the product. It's similar to the polymeric bowstring fluid, different chemistry, but the same package, same idea in the application. Just run it up and down the rail once is all you need, and that goes into the micro grooves in the metal, which actually acts as a sponge, which acts as a releasing agent also. And all the other Scorpion Venom products, they are also compatible for use with the Crossbow, being it has strings, just like a compound bow or a recurve bow. Same principles work with that also for the actual cams, for the application for the lubrication, and also the cleaning. Then another item that we have for the Crossbow or for your compound bow is the target arrow release fluid. This material is a highly lubricious material that has a small amount of a volatile component. So when you apply it to the field tip only, because a little bit goes a long way, what happens is when you shoot this into dense targets, it creates a gas channel due to the heat from the friction, which envelops the actual shaft of the bolt, which helps not it weld to the actual material of the target, which helps with that ease of removal. It's just one dab, just circulate your bolt or your regular arrow on the tip, field tip only. Do not put it on the shaft. It's not going to be detrimental to that, but it would really make the penetration go way, way far. I've had products when, testing, have the bolts go right through the product when putting on the target arrow release fluid. So be very careful with that, but it does help, and you're not going to break your back.
John, this is all not only built in USA, I mean, you're in charge of everything. There's not batches that you don't have your fingers in.
Correct. Everything is manufactured in-house. I formulated, compound, fill, and package all my products out of a location in New York, and then they're shipped directly to the consumer or distributor or box store.
Yeah, so I mean, you're in total control.
Yes.
You have some staff to help you on the, the mass production, bottling and whatnot, but from the chemistry point of view and the product quality point of view,
That's all me.
all you.
Yes.
John, you know what this reminds me, like a lot of things, there's this surface level, and then you meet an expert in the field like you, and there's a lot more details. Thanks for sharing all this with us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me to the proving grounds. I really appreciate that, and giving the opportunity to go over the Scorpion Venom product line and how it's applied and its benefits.
And hope each of you really got into this. John, this is available at Bass Pro, I know?
Yes, Bass Pro Cabela's.
Yeah. So you can check it out there. And if you want to be really tuned up and get the most life out of your string, have your bow be quieter, tuned easier, check this out. Learning more about how to care for your equipment is really important, but we really need to learn how to care for our lives and lives of others. That's why I always encourage each of y'all to slow down and take time to seek the Creator's will for your life and apply it daily. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.
I was in the makeup division, so I did lipsticks, I did foundations, I did powders, I did all that. But the chemistry that I learned there can easily be applied to this if you look at how to manipulate the formulas. And that's how I came up with the waxes. The wax is like